Good morning, everybody, man. Welcome back to another episode of the Darrel channel. You already know what it is, your boy Darrel. I gotta get into my music first. Gotta get my mind right before we talk about all of these races and all the bullshit surrounding Nolan Wells' case. So, Billy Ocean, she danced by me and painted on jeans, and all had turned 'cause she was the queen. In the blink of an eye, I knew her number and her name. Yeah. She said I was the tiger she wanted to tame. I was in search of a good time, just running my game. Yeah. Love was the furthest from my mind. Caribbean queen, now we're sharing the same dream, and our hearts that beat as one. No more love on the run. I lose my cool when she steps in the room, and I get so excited just from her perfume. Electric eyes that you can't ignore. And passion burns you like never before. I was in search of a good time, just running my game, yeah. Love was the furthest from my mind, yeah. Caribbean queen, now we're sharing the same dream, and our hearts that beat as one. Ooh, no more love on the run. I love you, I need you. Now we're sharing the same dream, and our heart that beat as one. Ooh, yeah. No more love on the run. Ooh, 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 yeah. I know we got to the song first, man. Before we go into the Nolan Wells case, before we go into the Nancy Grace video, we always do music first. Music is a way that I keep my spirit up when I'm either covering something that's depressing or having to deal with this story and being a black man. It's a whole bunch of shit, right? So I'm going to be covering the Nolan Wells story for the next few days, right? Every time I see other individuals out here lying about the black man, lying about black children, lying about stuff that has happened to us, then I'm going to have to be the person that corrected it. No matter if they're Democrat, Republican, Independent, pro-black, coon, it don't matter. We have to cover all lies and dispose of them. Today, Officer Tatum has been on a roll going from platform to platform to platform to platform to platform, disparaging Nolan Wells. That's just the facts. That's just the facts. And disparaging this little boy because people on the Democratic side feel like his white friends might have had something to do with his murder or his death, shall I say. Today, here on the Darrel Long Show, we're going to be breaking down all the facts, right? I'm not interested if you like Benjamin Crump. I'm not interested if you like the other lawyers or Al Sharpton. I don't care about none of that. All I care about is getting to the truth behind what happened to this young man, the truth as we know it, not the truth that y'all make up because y'all have implicit biases against white people. But let me go back to my song. Hold on. Caribbean Queen. Now we're sharing the same dream and our hearts that beat as one. No more love on the run. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, 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 yeah. She's my queen, my Caribbean queen, yeah. So she danced by me in painted jeans. Ooh, yeah. I said like, ooh, 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 yeah, yeah. My nigga Billy Ocean right there. What Billy say? Now that I found love, I won't let her go. Ooh, 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 ooh. She's the queen. Oh, I love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. Caribbean queen, yeah. Oh, she danced by me in painted jeans. Mm-hmm. She's my queen, Caribbean queen, yeah. Hit him again, Billy. Ooh, 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 yeah. Ooh, 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 yeah. She's the queen, my Caribbean queen, yeah. Now that's music right there, boy. That's music right there. I wish I can share with y'all, but every time I play music, they take down the videos. So let me go ahead and charge my AirPods up for the road. Let me go ahead and put my headphones on so I can make sure I hear you guys utterly and completely. Good morning, Princess. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Good morning, Leia. Come here. What you want? McDonald's? Want a Happy Meal? You got your phone in there? Okay. Go watch YouTube. I'll go get you some breakfast, okay? Mommy's sleeping with the babies, okay? See you later. You want some juice? Some orange juice? Here. You're welcome. Anything for the princess. All right. Now that my daughter has taken my orange juice, we shall begin the rest of the show. Did I just fuck up my HDMI? All right, here we go. And where's my background music at? I'm gonna get that going real quick, so we can actually start the official show. All right. I feel like my headphones should be louder. But it is what it is. All right. So hope you guys can all hear me. Look like we got 22 people ghost watching as of right now, which is perfectly fine. You know, it's all good. You know, on different platforms. I appreciate all you guys who are always ghost watching. And shout out to everybody that is, up this morning on a Saturday morning, August the 1st, which means we have new memberships that we can give out. I will be giving out those memberships shortly. But first, let's talk about the situation surrounding Nolan Wells. Right? Let's talk about the situation surrounding Nolan Wells. Last night, guys, I watched a 52-minute video of Nancy Grace covering the Nolan Wells case with Officer Brandon Tatum. as her honorable guest. And I need to walk you guys through this entire video because three separate things happen in that 1 hour video that I believe nobody else is talking about. One, we got to be honest. Nancy might have played audio and told you what was on it. What she described is not on the recording that the Mississippi State Board has released, right? Now, I know that she's saying that there's some new audio saying that the kids knew that Nolan Wells was dying. We don't know if that audio is official, right? It sounds good. It sounds like something that we should be bolstering, but I'm not sure if it's actually true. And until it's true, we got to mention that it might not be. Two, Officer Tatum said 4 young men took polygraphs and was passed. And by the end of that segment, the segment between Nancy Grace and both Officer Tatum eventually had to walk back the fact that he said all 4 young boys had took polygraph tests and passed them live on camera until, he had to be called what he actually is. He's a liar, right? And the boys did not take a polygraph test at all, right? We got to break down the facts of this case, all right? And the facts also points to my third point. And we're going to break down all these points with support and facts, right? I got all facts of this. My third point is this. The single most concrete piece of evidence in this entire case got mentioned about 8 seconds into the video, and then everybody moved on. So I'm going to play you the tape. I'm going to pause it. We're going to do some reactions. We're going to cover the receipts, right? Every single time. Ground rules for everybody watching the video, though. So same as always, nobody has been charged. We got to put that out there. The manner of death as of right now is still undetermined. We got to put that out there. And I'm not going to name a specific teenager as the killer or a cover up participant, partly because it hasn't been established legally, and partly because one of the content creators, I'm not sure if I should say their name in this live stream, but one of the content creators on YouTube received a cease and desist over this exact case just because they was making videos and giving out their opinion about the case, right? The white boys, their family is suing people who are running around saying that Nolan Wells was killed by his white friends. Like, they're suing individuals now, starting I think with D.L. Hughley. I think he's one of the people that got sued, but there's others, right? So I'm just trying to provide facts, if that's okay with you guys, all right? If that's okay with you guys, I'm just trying to play the facts and the facts only. So let me go to the video and let's go ahead and make sure we have this completely ready to be covered. Also, make sure you guys look in the description. All of my channels are there. Shout out to everybody on Rumble. I am over there in the chat. So, hey, I'm going to say hey to everybody on Rumble. If you are over there on Rumble watching, please send a donation. If you're watching on YouTube, please send a donation. We appreciate it. Become a member of the show. That way, any given time you want to get any exclusive memberships, only videos, you'll get access to that stuff first, which I'm going to tell you guys this. All the videos of the Obama Center that I took, all of that stuff, I'm releasing all the pre-recordings on membership only. Then about 2 weeks later, it'll come out to the public, right? Because the one thing I know about YouTube content creators is a lot of these guys are not going out in their real lives and showing you guys anything in real life. One of the things that I want to do is to continue to film Chicago and show people all the beautiful things that Chicago has to offer, besides, the drama and the gang violence and all the stuff that they promote on TV, right? So let's go ahead and go into Nancy Grace video. And shout out to her for being such a boss, right? For being such a boss. What's up, Dub? For being such a boss and countering all of these lies that Officer Tatum is telling everybody. I really don't like Tatum. You feel me? I'll email him. I'll see if they're if they're up for a debate, because he talk about black culture. Boy, he talk about black culture like we ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? And I think I might do a pre-recording, but I might do it today. We'll see. I did see the little debate or the little back and forth between D.L. Hughley and Officer Tatum, and I liked it. I think D.L. Hughley showed why he's one of the best comedians of all time, because when you mix facts with shaming somebody, oh man, that's great comedy in my mind. Let's get to the video, guys.
Bombshell tonight. In the last 24 hours, Nolan Wells' family hits social media giants, subpoenaing Nolan's accounts.
Let's stop it right there. The very first sentence, the first correction, and it's small, but it tells you the temperature of this entire show. She says in the last 24 hours, no, those subpoenas were filed the previous week, right? That's why I said I'm going to be correcting all lies, not just Officer Tatum's. Like this, I'm not no captivity with Freezy. I'm not somebody who's trying to pander to y'all. I'm not. What I'm actually trying to do, right? What I'm actually trying to do is just give y'all proper information without basically being on some grifting shit or lying to y'all simply because I don't like a certain party. You know what I'm saying? I'm not interested in that, bro. To me, that's very, very, very disingenuous. You feel me? All right. So also, like I said, she said in the last 24 hours, these subpoenas were filed. No, they were filed in the last week in the Mississippi State Court, right? Filed by a Mississippi attorney named Gary Bofkin out of Ridgeland, Mississippi, right? And of course, Benjamin Crump team is on the case, but Gary Bofkin is the one who actually filed those subpoenas. It was not Benjamin Crump. Let's get that fact right first. And why does this matter, right? Why does the few days matter? It really doesn't, right? So I don't understand why she would lie, right? It really doesn't. But when you try to make it seem like in the last 24 hours, to me, that seems more like you're trying to add some production to this. You're trying to add some suspense to this and not just tell the story. They did not subpoena anyone in the last 24 hours. It happened about a week ago, right? I want you guys to just hold on to that. Let's keep moving on with the video. Let's go.
I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
He was face down on the beach right at the water's edge.
If he was sent face down, that also doesn't make sense to me. If he's face down, wouldn't blood pool just by nature of gravity this way?
So right now we've got a lot of questions, but as the second doctor says, this is all still pending investigation.
If this were your child, wouldn't you want to know what happened?
The mom asked for Nolan's phone.
Right.
Was there a struggle over it, or did you guys hand it over?
I mean, just handed it over. I mean, we didn't think anything of it. Like, she asked for Nolan's phone. We knew they were close friends with,
What is that about?
the Wells family, and my buddy went out to his truck and handed the phone over. No complications, no issue, nothing. But I mean, I told Miss Christine that we had his phone and he had left it in our possession on the boat.
When did you talk to her about that?
When I was on, no, I didn't talk to her once. Like, it was like 12:30. I mean, I might have texted her a couple times and talked briefly about a couple things, but I told her on the phone before I called the Coast Guard that we had Nolan's phone. Before I called Miss Christine, Well, none of us had a reason to go through Nolan's phone. I mean, there's multiple phones on the boat. Why would it be? And the boat was having issues. Why would our concern be getting on Nolan's phone or something? I mean, I don't even know Nolan's password. None of my friends do. We had no reason ever to get on Nolan's phone and look at anything. I didn't even touch Nolan's phone. None of us touched Nolan's phone until somebody took it off the boat and put it in Wyatt's truck, and then no one touched it until we handed it back, to the mom that was at my buddy's house.
Now, before I go into what she has to say about this, right? Let's really break this down together, right? Because I want to be fair, but I also want to be factual and hard. That's the only way that this is going to work. What Warren Hudson is saying, right? It seems to be consistent with what the white boys have said regarding, the whole situation. It seemed to be consistent. We had the phone, but we didn't go through it. It was all on a boat, right? Multiple phones on the dashboard of the boat. The boats, the boat is basically sinking into the water, and nobody's thinking about somebody else's phone. If you ever been on a boat with that problem, right? The boat is going down, the boat is sinking. Of course, that makes sense that nobody is scrolling on their phones. Nobody is looking through Nolan's phone trying to contact his mom. That makes sense. But when you listen to what the clip actually establishes, because it's not about what it sounds like. He's telling you nobody accessed the phone. He's also telling you the phone was in somebody's truck, but then on a boat at the same time, right? You got to really listen to that video, and we're going to go over that interview tomorrow. The entire Brandon Tatum interview with Warren Hudson. We're going to go over that because I need y'all to hear this. At one point in the interview, and I made sure I chat GPT this, he says that they left the phone in somebody's truck, and then at one point he said they left the phone on the boat, and the boat went down. Those are two completely different claims, and only one of them is checkable, right? And here's the part that never gets said out loud. So let me say it now. It is unclear who had Nolan Wells' phone between July 4th all the way stretching up to July 10th. That's a fact. It is unclear to law enforcement, to social media, to anybody who had Nolan Wells' phone between the days of July 4th to July 10th. 6 days. This is not an accusation. I didn't say nobody's name. Right? Because I don't want to be getting cease and desist letters like y'all doing everybody else. I'm just telling y'all that there's a gap in the public record of between July 4th and July 10th. There's a complete gap of we don't even know where the phone was. And that is the reason why some of these subpoenas are beginning to exist, because we don't know where the phones were even. We don't know if they was on a boat, if it went down, right? They say there was no water damage, so I'm assuming it was the boat. You know what? That's why I didn't want to cover this case, because it really get me upset. This is a dead young boy, and y'all just, you know what? Let me keep going with the video, because I got to be in Chicago later on for Lollapalooza. Let's keep going.
Is from the Officer Tatum show. He has interviewed several of the young men that were on the boat when Nolan Wells was taken to Horn Island. They say he was not on the boat on the return trip, although audio seems to suggest otherwise.
Facts. Very quickly, now go back to the clip. Nancy just said audio seems to suggest otherwise. I want you guys to remember that sentence, because we're about to find out what the audio actually is, and if it's even something that is permissible in court, that can be used in court and upheld in court, right? We don't know. The forensic scientists, you know what? Let's keep going. We're going to get into the call. I want you guys to hear the call, hear exactly what it says, and then you guys can break that down yourselves and tell me what y'all think about it. Let's go.
Listen to the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources call.
Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles?
What'd
Hello?
you say? Hey,
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
it's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now.
All right. Well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir.
I don't know the phone number. It's either. I think it's. Try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership, like guaranteed. I don't
All
have
right.
the tag
Unless
on
you
here.
have a
It got ripped
membership
off.
number or anything, it's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at?
Reach me at
Particular phrases in that call.
Now, for those who just heard that recording, that is the real recording released by the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. It is public, it's documented, and everything in that recording is verifiable. Okay? What you hear is a kid who can't answer basic questions. What you hear is a kid who can't produce a membership number. What you hear is a kid who is clearly panicking with all the commotion happening behind him. The dispatcher asked this young child twice, "How high is the water, sir, young man?" Now watch what happened in the next 40 seconds of this broadcast. Let's get straight to it.
If it's to be believed, Nolan don't die. Sure, he's dead. Is he dead? Nolan, OMG, wake the F up. It goes on. I thought he was on the check his chest. That, if it's to be believed, suggests that Nolan was on that boat. Tatum says the witnesses are clear. He was not on the boat. Tonight, we're
going to have to break this down, right? So let's stop right here. I want you guys to rewind that whole scene in your head, right? Nancy Grace said that there were particular phrases in that call, right? In that call, as in the call that we just listened to, the call that Nancy Grace played, okay? The same call that, again, Mississippi released. It is public. It is documented. It is verifiable, okay? Those phrases are not just on the recording, right? So here's what actually happened. TMZ took the release audio and they put out what they described as an enhanced version. And that version, people online can hear, "Is he dead? Nolan, wake up, Nolan. Check his chest." Right? Let me play the recording one more time for you guys so you guys can hear this.
call.
Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles?
What'd
Hello?
you say? Hey,
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
it's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now.
All right. Well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir.
I don't know the phone number. It's either. I think it's. Try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership, like guaranteed. Sure. I don't
All
have the
right,
tag on
unless you
here.
have a
It got ripped
membership
off.
number or anything, it's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at?
Reach me at
Particular phrases in that call, if it's
Yeah, you guys heard that again. So when we hear those particular phrases, right? TMZ, not me, not Crump. TMZ said explicitly that none of those interpretations can be confirmed, and that the recording, according to TMZ, is muffled enough that people can hear different words at the same time, right? I'm just telling you guys the reporting. That's why some people are saying it's not real. But like my friend Fearless Jim just said in the chat, you can hear those voices in the background clearly. Nolan, wake up. Nolan, are you good, bro? Fuck. Wake up, bro. Nolan, bro. Are you good, Brody? Brosker? Are you good? Is you cool? Right? The caveat of this misinterpretation, as they're calling it, is the reason why that recording has not made it to cable news. It's the reason why when you post that recording to TikTok, it's being removed and some content creators are being hit with a strike, right? Very few people have played this audio. I believe Nancy Grace played it. I can't confirm. I believe Queen Sheba played it. But this is the parts that get worse, right? And this is the part that you actually need to remember when you leave this video today. A digital forensic expert by the name of Robert Freed. So it's spelled like fried, but it's pronounced Freed. Robert Freed, again, who is a digital forensic scientist, an expert. He analyzed both files, both the original release recording from the state of Mississippi and the TMZ enhanced recording to which you just heard, right? This was his findings. He said the TMZ version is 20 seconds longer than the original, and it has a different digital footprint entirely, right? 20 seconds of audio. This is not the same file that the state put out. Now, I want to be careful because I'm not accusing the state of tampering, of doing anything bad, right? I do not want any cease and desist from them white folks, especially in Mississippi. But I also got to report this to my people fairly. I feel like y'all tampered with, allegedly, I feel like y'all tampered with that audio and y'all put out a specific audio, and then y'all might have did something to the background so we couldn't hear Nolan. Then when TMZ got it, right, that dude Harvey, people forget Harvey was a lawyer back in the day. He get the audio. He said, something is wrong with this, and I got sources. Go get the full audio. He get 20 more seconds. They sent it to a forensic scientist that Harvey is cool with, named Robert Freed, an actual digital forensic expert. He analyzed both files, find out that TMZ might, not officially, but might have the actual audio from that phone call. What does this mean? Did the police mislead the public? Did the Mississippi State Board who put this out, did they tamper with it? We don't know. All we know, right, is that Reed himself stated that the state's release of this, the state's release of the audio was heavily redacted, right? Account numbers, phone numbers stripped, and it seems like the original file and the metadata, keep up with me, the metadata on the original file and the metadata on the other file that Robert Freed analyzed, they had completely two different data signatures, which means those are completely two different files. I believe that the original file was tampered to protect those boys. Now, you cannot go on national television, right? And you cannot play the state's file, the state's audio file, and then tell us as the audience that the phrases that we hear on this call, that don't matter at all, right? They're just made up. It's AI, right? And now we have our entire country divided and trying to prove if this call is even verified. Any other time TMZ put out information, it's verified. I mean, we talking about Harvey here, who knows the repercussions of this situation, knows he can be hit with a lawsuit if this information is anything less than 100% real, right? The parents of a 21-year-old young man, I think that's how old Warren Hudson is, the young white boy. His parents has been doxxed and threatened because people are calling these guys outright liars and fabricators of this story, right? That's just the facts. People are wondering if the boat even malfunctioned at all, or if it's something that was tampered with. We don't know, because they didn't investigate why the boat went down in the first place. That's officially in the records. That's proven, that's documented, it's verifiable, right? So I want to go back to the video, right? And right now we're at 3 minutes and 52 seconds. We're going to need to play up into 6 minutes and 30 seconds so we can talk about the subpoena list. Everybody that was subpoenaed that we can name, Dave Mack, and Dave Mack and Nancy Grace lay out these different subpoenas from Snapchat, WhatsApp, TikTok, Meta, aka Facebook, Life 360, IP addresses, usernames, Facebook channels, posts, YouTube stories, Instagram chats. They have so much information about everybody who was accusing these white boys of doing something bad. And I'm trying to tell y'all, that's why I don't know what happened to Nolan Wells. I don't know if his friends did anything wrong. I'm not accusing nobody of doing nothing wrong. I am going to say that it looks suspicious to me. And until I have all the information, I'm going to be skeptical of the situation, just like Nancy Grace is. I will say that. Let's keep going.
To be believed, Nolan don't die. Sure, he's dead. Is he dead? Nolan, OMG, wake the F up. It goes on. I thought he was on the check his chest. That, if it's to be believed, suggests that Nolan was on that boat. Tatum says the witnesses are clear. He was not on the boat. Tonight, we learned in the last 24 hours, the Nolan Wells family hits social media giants with subpoenas for all information related to Nolan's phone. First, straight out to Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter. Then we will be joined by Brandon Tatum. Dave Mack, what's happening?
Right now, Nancy, the family of Nolan Wells has announced that they are going after, they have subpoenaed documents for Nolan Wells' phone. They've gone to the media giants like, TikTok, Instagram, the Meta companies, everybody that Nolan Wells used to push out videos of what he was doing and pictures. And they're they believe that some material was deleted from Nolan's phone. And this is what they're trying to prove with these subpoenas, to get all of the information, as well as, by the way, the location tracking app, Life 360. So you got Snapchat, WhatsApp, TikTok, Meta platforms, and Life 360. All of this, the court documents already filed, Nancy.
Nolan Wells' family slapped subpoenas on multiple social media giants seeking his account information and data. This into the investigation of the teen college football player's mysterious death. They were issued in the last 24 hours, including Snapchat, WhatsApp, TikTok, Meta platforms, Life 360. And these are according to court documents demanding the companies turn over all materials info related to Nolan's accounts. This includes current and prior usernames, passwords, email addresses, phone numbers, even displaying names, displayed names. They want IP addresses associated with every account, all communications, chats, posts, stories, and info. His cell phone has become a key, a critical issue in the probe into Nolan's death. What happened to Nolan? Now,
What happened to Nolan, indeed, my lady? This is a question that we all desire to know. What happened to Nolan? Was Nolan done wrong? Was Nolan done wrong? Right? Before I get into my next part and we talk about the subpoena list, let me go ahead and give out memberships, guys. I'm giving out 10 memberships at the beginning of each month. Okay. We look like A-Dub just became a member. J Hub. We got a few guys. Tyranny, Team Fatty just became a member. So shout out to everybody that are members of the show. I will be giving out memberships periodically throughout the show. If you guys want to become a member, make sure you're here. Just simply subscribe. I'm giving out memberships and I might do a trial. And on that trial, we're going to be talking about so much stuff. I'm going to be going into like certain stuff that I can't have access publicly. Certain stuff I want to talk about and I just can't talk about with everybody. That stuff will be in the memberships only. And just look out for it. All right. Now, let me get into this part and I'll go give out some more memberships in a second. All right. This part is actually accurate. And the part that she's talking about, the subpoenas, this matters. Now, the subpoenas were filed in Mississippi State Court. Each company has 21 days from receipt to produce, right? But here's what got me confused, right? And to me, I still think this is the strongest part of the case. The girl that they said the girl that was allegedly with Nolan, right? Christine, they said that she used no. I'm getting my fucking notes wrong. I'm focused on the girlfriend. I gotta get to that later. Christine is the mother. Christine used Life 360 to track Nolan's phone, right? This is very important. Then she compared that location history against the location history in Snapchat. If that location history is different, shit is going to be real, right? She goes back, she get the data, right? She get the data after she compared Life 360, and I'm reading this on CNN. She compared Life 360 to the Snapchat location, right? Life 360 on Nolan's phone to the Snapchat location. The data didn't match, right? That's two independent location logs, same device. That doesn't line up. That doesn't make sense, right? You got people like Officer Tatum saying that they made false enhanced audio to try to make these boys look guilty. And really nobody trying to hear that. We trying to understand, how was Nolan in two places at two different times? How can Life 360 say he's in one place and Snapchat location say he's in another place? Right? That's what we want to know. And I think it's important that we actually find out, where was Nolan at the time of death? Because even that is unknown to us still. Right? Now, I want to play up to 9 minutes and 12 seconds where we're going to hear Officer Brandon Tatum talk about his opinion about this case. And let me quote him. Officer Tatum says, "I spent my career putting people in jail. I've never been a defense attorney. The burden of proof is trying to the burden of proof they're trying to prove is going to be on me, right? I'm not going to listen to anything that these Democrats have to say. They're just going to have to show me that these white boys killed Nolan Wells. I don't understand why. Because let me say this personally myself, off script for a second. I don't understand why we have to bring race into everything. Me personally, personally, once race comes into a conversation, I automatically know the conversation is about to go to shit. I automatically know that we're not about to have a scholastic conversation no more. It's about to be based on tribalism, and it's about to be based on emotionalism, right? How do I feel about my tribe? How do I feel about my culture? How do I feel about the history of African Americans and what has happened to our people, our women, our children? And we start to think about women and men in chains, inciting, and we start to incite that anger on this case, and that's unnecessary. That clouds, in my opinion, that clouds our vision, clouds our mind from getting the truth. The truth, right? I don't want to say Nolan Wells was a super pro-black kid when he was hanging around nothing but white kids all goddamn day. White girlfriend. How is he pro-black? Y'all explain it to me. But what I do just want to find out is what happened to him. I think it's important to honor him by just talking about the facts as we know them. Don't make up facts. I don't care if he had a white girlfriend. I don't care if he had a purple girlfriend. I do care because I'm also a father, right? We have a 17-year-old in this house right now, and God forbid she go out with her friends and don't make it back. God forbid she go out with white friends and don't make it back. And instead of y'all focusing on what happened to her, it becomes a racially divided conversation that's focused on the right versus the left. Let me go to the video so y'all can hear what Tatum had to say.
His mother, Christine, says when her son's phone was brought to the family, they had concerns because there were no pictures or videos on either of his Snapchat accounts, triggering their fear items may have been deleted. That's what's happening.
I want to stop there, but matter of fact, I will stop there for a second. Imagine a young man, a young boy, right? A young Nolan Wells. He goes out. He been on Snapchat for years. For years. He go back. His mom checked the data. There's no data there. No pictures of nothing. No pictures of nothing. So I will concur, right? I agree with Nancy. This looks skeptical, and there is an opportunity for us to say that something may have been deleted. But let's keep going. Again, we got about 2 minutes before my next session. Let's go.
There's been a lot of controversy. Were photos, were texts deleted? Were snaps deleted? We've been trying to figure it out, but we're seeing through a mirror darkly. We don't know. But according to experts, a trail will be left if anything has been deleted, even if you delete it from the deleted file. Now, joining us, special guest, Brandon Tatum. You know him well. He's a former police officer with Tucson PD. That's what impresses me. What impresses a lot of other people is he is the star of The Officer Tatum. Officer Tatum, thank you for being with us tonight. Question to you. You interviewed, as we played at the get-go, several of Nolan's friends. Did they show you photos, videos, snaps of that day on Horn Island?
Well, Nancy, thank you so much for having me on. I spoke to 4 of the boys that are originally accused of being involved in Nolan Wells' death. And they did show me a lot of evidence. I want people to be very clear with this. I spent my career putting people in jail. My career is based on getting justice for people who have been done wrong. I've never been a defense attorney. So me going out and doing this was to find out what happened to Nolan Wells. And in talking to these young men, the burden of proof is they're going to have to prove to me. I'm not going to listen to what they say out of their mouth. They're going to have to show me. And in many cases, they showed me videos of Nolan on the island. They showed me videos of the boat when they were getting towed out, which is consistent with, kind of similar to what the phone call was. I mean, they showed me pictures of them with Nolan. They showed me phone records of them calling Nolan's mom and all of the above. So they seemed very consistent. They seemed very genuine. And they also proved to me some of the things that they had told me in the interview that I had with them that I have uploaded on my YouTube channel.
Officer Tatum.
We got to talk about this. We got to talk about this absolutely right now. Right. But I want to make sure, as a promise to you guys, I have given out more and more memberships. Daily Rundown, we got 10 more members over there. And we also got 10 more members on my wife's channel, Gently Coy Hey. We got the Dripster. We got a few of y'all getting members over there. All right. Look, but shout out to the memberships only. Y'all know what it is. I appreciate y'all. Now, and I'm in Fear. I'm gonna get to your question. I see you, Fear. I see you. I see you. Right. I want you guys to write this down. Right. Officer Tatum says, I spent my career putting people in jail. I have never been a defense attorney. The burden of proof isn't, the burden of proof is they're going to have to prove to me. I'm not going to listen to what they have to say out their mouth. They're going to have to show me. I want you guys to write that down, right? I'm not going to listen to what they have to say out of their mouth. They're going to have to show me. That is what Officer Brandon Tatum, is that his name? I'm just going to say Officer Tatum. Officer Tatum is saying that he don't give a damn what D.L. Hughley has to say, what the Wells family has to say. They're going to have to just prove it. That is his stated opinion. That's his standard. Out of his mouth, unprompted. That's the way he answered the question. I want you guys to hold on for that for the next 25, 30 minutes as we review this, because I'm going to come back to that, right? Right. I'm going to come back to that, because it's not going to be something that he's going to be able to stand on, right? And to be fair to this man, right? He did go down to Mississippi. He did get on the boat. He did walk on the island. He did meet with the friends. He did go to the point where they found Nolan Wells' body. National outlets did not do that, right? I haven't seen reporters go down there to look at the crime scene. I'll give him credit for that, right? See, I'm trying to be fair. I really am. Even though I don't with him. I'm trying to be fair. Nobody else has established a sit-down conversation with somebody so close to Nolan Wells. This man did. So whether I like him or not, as a content creator and as a journalist, him, not me, I give him credit for that. But I also have to ask, why was he the only person that these young men would talk to? Why wouldn't these young men go talk to D.L. Hughley? Why wouldn't these young men go talk to a Stacey Abrams or go talk to a Jamel Hill? Right? That gives me pause to believe that these young men are secret racists, right? And these young men allegedly might have done something to him and they don't want to be grilled. They just want to be in the presence of somebody like Brandon Tatum, Officer Tatum, who would just give them a pass, not give a damn about Nolan Wells at all. Not give a damn about Nolan Wells at all. Oh, listen, if you guys are here, man, make sure you guys support the channel by hitting the Cash App, $DLon316. Let's go ahead and run a Sharon Bracey until y'all get at least $5 in. Let's go ahead and make that happen, man. Sharon Bracey.
For clout. That is the solution to this. The solution, Ed, is for you to send a goddamn 99-cent super sticker. So this way I don't have to go to Brokeback Mountain. That shit crazy. The problem is,
child. And Fear says, so they have pictures and videos of Horn Island, but Nolan Wells' phone happened to be clean.
God damn it. You can't make this shit up.
Yeah, Fear. There was hundreds, because according to them, there were hundreds of people out there, boats everywhere, girls in bikinis, bottles of liquor, marijuana, everybody having fun. But Nolan Wells was the only one that didn't take any pictures, no videos. All of his Instagram and Snapchat videos have now, been deleted. His mother couldn't get access to him. That's not suspicious at all, right? So I have to keep going to about the 11-minute mark, That's about 2 minutes from where we are now. I want you guys to listen, right? Because Nancy is going to object to how Officer Tatum is telling his version of events when it comes to Nolan Wells and his life. Let's go ahead and watch it right now.
Are you telling me that they had reception on Horn Island? Because many people are saying, well, the reason that there's nothing on Nolan's phone of that day, like there's no pictures, there's no snaps, there's no text, there's no anything, not because it was deleted, but because he didn't have reception. But you're telling me the other boys.
Hold on. Reception don't matter when it comes to taking pictures, right? Somebody's phone can be completely off, have no service. And if you want to go take a picture, you can take a picture. The moment you get back on Wi-Fi, it's going to connect to iCloud, but the pictures will be in your phone, right? I can cut this iPhone off right here, right? Cut this iPhone off, give it to a random bum and say, hey, bum, take these pictures for the next year. The pictures will be in the iPhone. It's just that simple. But you know what? I said I wasn't going to interrupt it. I'm sorry. I apologize. We got 2 minutes. Let's go.
Did have snaps, photos, videos, and reception?
Yeah, no, Nancy, let me clarify this for you. It wasn't that they uploaded this online. They showed me videos and things that they took from the boat during the outing on 4th of July. I was personally out at Horn Island. I rode out there on a boat, and I didn't have great reception there. And I left my phone in the boat when I got into the water and we were actually going out to do interviews.
Objection. You've been in court long enough to know you're gonna get objections. You said you didn't have great reception, but you did have reception, did you not?
No, there was reception there. It just wasn't great, and it wasn't great enough for people, in my opinion, to upload. You can make a phone call potentially, but you wasn't gonna upload data to a social media account. Now, could people take the steps to do it if they're dedicated enough? Yes, but it doesn't appear that would have been a frequent thing, given the fact that you probably had 1 or 2 bars out there. And I heard evidence of that. Not only did I see evidence of it when I went out there myself personally with my cell phone, when I listened to the CETO call, you could tell that the call dropped out several times. It seemed like they were having trouble at times hearing each other. So it is consistent. And anybody that travel out there that have gone to the 4th of July celebration, they know that the reception is not very great. So the videos that they showed me in call logs were things that were not associated to social media, that they never posted on social media. It was, pictures and videos that they took on their phone.
Okay. Let me refine my question. I take it from your last answer that the answer is yes, you had reception on Horn Island.
Yes, I did have reception on Horn Island.
Now, this is a small little tidbit, right? But I'm going to give it to him, right? I'm going to give it to him because he stood 10 toes down. He tried to be reasonable. His position even was reasonable. The reception was weak. I had 1 or 2 bars, maybe enough to make a phone call, but not enough to actually upload to Snapchat or YouTube. And that's consistent, right? That's consistent with a lot of reports based on what people are saying who are out there. People who have dropped calls, they have struggling, they have a hard time struggling to hear each other on the phone. This makes sense, right? You know, fine. But watch the shape of the exchange as we move forward, because it's going to repeat itself. He gives an answer with a soft edge on it. Yeah, it wasn't really great reception. But Nancy says, you've been in court long enough to know how it's going to go. Did you have reception or not? Yeah, I have reception. Did you have reception or not, gang? Not great reception, kind of. Yes or no, Mr. Tatum? Yeah, I had reception. I want you guys to remember this, right? Because this is going to be basically a repeated thing throughout the rest of this video. He's going to say something on some BS. She's going to check it, and he's going to have to give a straight answer. Mr. Tatum, did the boys really take a polygraph test? I mean, they kind of took a polygraph. Yes or no? Nah, them boys never took. You know what? I don't want to spoiler alert y'all, right? Don't want to go too far. Shout out to the 223 people that's watching, 168, 170, whatever on YouTube, another 50 or whatever on Twitch. I mean on Twitter. Shout out to y'all. We love y'all, man. Let's expose Brandon Tatum.
We just played that CETO call. It's 2 words, SEATOW, and it's kind of insurance that people have that are boat goers. And if you have a problem, CETO will come and tow you back to the mainland. They said they had a problem. They said they were taking on water. One of your takes is that all the chatter that we're hearing, wake up, Nolan, are you dead, Nolan, wake the F up, Nolan, could be referring to the battery, the bilge on the boat, that it's all unclear. Regarding the boat being disabled, apparently it was not. Listen.
So first, at 9:56 a.m., the boat leaves the original dock. It arrives at Horn Island at 11:14. So at around 4 o'clock, there is a call to the Coast Guard about the boat. NBC News got a hold of it.
We're sinking. Can y'all please come?
And is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's on board.
Everybody's on board. So does that mean Nolan is on there? Who was on that boat? At 4:31, the boat leaves Horn Island and it is towed approximately 3 miles, and then the tow ends. So after 3 miles, they go back to the original dock, okay? They arrive at 5:44 p.m. So it looks like this is where Horn Island is, and this is where the original dock is that I am referring to. I looked it up, and El Camino Real Road is in Gulf Hills, Mississippi, which is right above Ocean Springs. So I'm wondering if this is the house where they got the phone. Now, the boat travels to Fort Bayou. At 6:06, the boat returns to the original dock. Then, from the original dock, the boat goes back to Fort Bayou, and then they go to the boat launch, and it is put onto the trailer and moved by the vehicle. Did they drop people off at the original dock, travel to Fort Bayou, pick somebody up, and go back to that original dock? And then from there, why was there an hour and 13-minute time gap? This boat was sinking hours before, and then they're just having it docked for an hour and 13 minutes. You would think they'd want to get that boat out of the water ASAP.
That from the Real TikTok Detective, the boat wasn't sinking. They told CETO it was sinking. What's the truth? Was it sinking and they repaired it? Did they have a leak and they repaired it and kept on SOP? Brandon Tatum joining us, former cop, now star of The Officer Tatum. Did the young man explain those travels we just identified?
Now, we have to talk about what we're calling the TikTok timeline, right? The GPS timeline, 9:56, right? They leave the dock. 11:14, they arrive at Horn Island. They called the cops, right? At 4:31, they depart. They was told 3 miles. At 5:14, 5:44, they arrived. Back at Fort Bayou at 6:06, return to the original dock, right? So why is there an entire hour and 13 minutes missing in this time gap? That is what Mississippi authorities want to know now. For an hour and 13 minutes, they said the boat was going down. right? If the boat's going down, how was y'all traveling all throughout the goddamn bayou, right? Two things. First and foremost, nobody has said, and nobody talking about this. Nobody talking about this on like a national level. This timeline that says the boat arrived at Horn Island at 11:14. Warren Hudson was interviewed by Officer Tatum, and in his own interview with Officer Tatum, he said that they got there at 11:30. Right, but this cannot be true, right? Because we got GPS on the boat, and the boat said that the boat got there at 11:14. Right? This cannot be a bad memory or a bad boat. This is a young man allegedly lying. Secondly, the departure time, this actually checks out, right? GPS data from the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources obtained by CBS puts that boat leaving Horn Island around 4:30 run. That number is solid, right? And here's the thing about the whole afternoon that I just keep coming back to. When that dispatcher on the call that we listened to earlier asked everyone who was on the boat and whether they're in good health, they said yes, everyone's on board. But everybody was not on board, right? Everybody was not on board. That's just not the facts. Because if you listen to the other phone call, you hear very, very clearly that somebody is saying, hey, wake up, Nolan. Go, Nolan, wake up. The one that they're trying to say is fake. Everybody was not on board. That's just not true, right? If you listen to that the audio that Nancy put out earlier, and we went over it twice, they were not panicking about a boat sinking. We heard somebody in the background allegedly panicking about Nolan dying. And that's just one thing that is just going to be added to all the things that are just skeptical about this case. How can Warren Hudson say they got there at 11:30 being Horn Island, but the boat and camera footage has them arriving at 11:14? I'm just confused, man. And the more and more I like, the more and more information that's put out about this case, to be honest, it makes me more and more confused. It makes me more skeptical. It makes me not want to send my kids out by themselves with their friends, hanging out. No, you got to be with a family member now, somebody who I trust. As a parent, how do you go to sleep knowing that your kids can be put in danger? And people like Officer Tatum, and on the other side, both sides are going to use your dead child for political purposes, for YouTube gain. To me, that's very disgusting, man. Let's keep the video going to 16 minutes, 45 seconds, where we have to break down another one of Officer Tatum's lies.
Yeah, 100%. They did that. I wish that people on the internet would have had an opportunity, and they can go look at the interview that I did with Warren, but they had an opportunity to actually talk to these young men to get this in perspective, because some people have no idea how boats function and how they work. They explained to me, they took me on a boat and showed me exactly where they went, where they docked, where did they, stop at, how did they get the bilge pump and the water out of the boat, and all of the above. So they were sinking. They were taking on water. The water came up high enough that the batteries weren't working. They had to get a tow to kind of tow them out. Where you can see the young lady saying about 3 miles out. It's a complicated boat's jargon, but they ended up getting the boat out. They ended up getting it to the point where they could run the water out of the boat through a hole in the boat that they ended up plugging. They explained all this. Anybody that does boating know exactly what they're talking about if you hear them explain it on the interview. So they have an explanation for all of these things. And not only that, Nancy, they showed me video of them on the boat, and Nolan was not on the boat. Nolan was not on the boat log, and there are people who saw Nolan on the island closer to around 6 p.m., which is far after they left, far after this phone call was made. I saw text messages from the young lady that Nolan was with, the young lady named Katie. I saw her text messages. In her text messages, she say that she heard the boys yelling for Nolan to get on the boat. He did not. She said in her text message that she did not see Nolan get on the boat he came on, which was Wyatt's boat, which is the boat that was sinking and they ended up leaving on. So it wasn't just a statement that they made on a podcast. They were actually showing me evidence to the contrary of what the mainstream YouTubers and some media outlets are putting out to people at large. And so I wish that people would go watch the interview, or at least take some time to listen to these boys' statement. And I'll say this, Nancy, too. I wish that the family would have taken the time, or at least Benjamin Crump would have taken the time to reach out to the lawyers or reach out to these young.
Thank you, Fear. Thank you, Fear, for telling me, because nobody would have said that. So let me go back and do this all over again, right? Let me do this all over again. Hold on. Let me do this all over again. So, and thank you, Fear, once again. I love you, Fear. So, Officer Tatum eventually goes on to say, well, they showed me the video of them on the boat with Nolan Wells, or the video allegedly that everybody is saying Nolan Wells is on, but allegedly, they show Brandon Tatum the video and Nolan was not on the video. He was not on the boat. And then Officer Tatum is saying that there are people who are saying that they saw Nolan on a different island that's closer around 6 p.m. They saw Nolan on a different island, and they saw text messages from a young lady that y'all just heard the clip of, right? So I don't know her name. I'm gonna get her name in a second. And allegedly that young lady said she heard the boys yelling for Nolan to get on the boat, and Nolan refused to get on the boat. I just want to make that very clear. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying, right? Now, we have 4 claims in 90 seconds that I just played that, on that video. And every single one of these claims, exactly every single one of them, has one source and one source only. And that's Brandon Tatum himself. Not CNN, nowhere else, just Brandon Tatum himself. Right? So let's focus on this. The first one. This first fact of, or this first claim, I should say, is a video that Nolan wasn't on the boat. Nobody else has seen it. Nobody else has seen it except Brandon Tatum. 2, people saw Nolan Wells on the island around 6 p.m. well after the boat had left the island. Right? That's what they're saying. That's what Tatum said. Nobody else has reported that. Nobody else has confirmed that. The third claim that Tatum made in his conversation with Nancy Grace. The boat took on water and they plugged a hole in the boat, this is plausible, and it matches the C tow call, right? I will give him that one for consistency, just so I can be fair, right? Before part 4, and this is the big one. Officer Tatum says he saw text messages from a young woman saying that she heard them yelling for Nolan to go on board, but nobody saw Nolan get on board. Here's why that matters. Because what was previously reported about her statement to the investigators is the exact opposite of what Brandon Tatum is saying now. She reported before to investigators that Nolan told her that he was going to go back to the boat. Now, this is a contradiction that is the single hardest contradiction to resolve. This has been left unresolved, and to me, it's the biggest thing that has been left unresolved in this case. She said he got back on the boat. On another situation, she told him that he didn't get back on the boat. She should be thrown in jail, in my opinion, just for lying. Right? And it's something also, despite how you may feel about him, something that Benjamin Crump has brought up repeatedly. Now, Officer Tatum is now saying that he's personally seen those text messages to resolve that situation. And of course, they work in the white man's favor and the girl's favor and everybody else except Nolan Wells' favor. Maybe he did see those text messages. Maybe he didn't see those text messages. I'm not going to call Tatum a liar. Not right now, not on that situation. But I understand what's happening. The one piece of evidence that could break the deadlock that has been characterized to the public by one commentator who is not neutral, who is not going to release it on his channel, and nobody else can check it. This one. So why even talk about this evidence? This evidence. I'm not going to say her name any more than I have to. This young lady, this minor, is a witness, right? A witness in an active investigation. She's a young lady. She's a minor, and she didn't ask for any of this attention. So I'm not going to give her any more attention as a grown man, as a husband, as a Christian, as a father. I'm not going to put her out like that. But I feel like eventually she will be brought in front of court, and eventually her name will be smeared in front of all the newspapers, et cetera, because people want to find out what happened to Nolan Wells, and she gave 2 conflicting testimonies. Now, we're going to have to keep going until 18 minutes and 26 seconds where we hear like Officer Tatum. He doesn't like Ben Crump. I don't think he liked D.L. Hughley a lot. It seemed like anybody who's pro-black, he doesn't like you, right? Let me read you this quote before I go into the video. Officer Tatum says, quote, "I wish that the family would have taken the time, or at least Benjamin Crump, to reach out to the lawyers or me, or have, somebody reach out to the young boys. I do not understand why Ben Crump would go out and allegedly put out misinformation about the young white boys online when he had the availability to talk to these young white men." So I want you guys to hear what Ben Crump had to say. And I'm going to play what Officer Tatum said about Ben Crump. We're going to play both, and then let's go ahead and respond afterwards, right? Let's go.
Boys to get their statements so they're not wasting their time sending everybody on a rabbit trail when they could have just talked to these boys. And they could have, but they refused, because I saw a message from Warren where he called Nolan's mom twice. I've seen messages from Warren's stepmother, Ashley, where she sent Nolan's mom a text saying, "Please reach out to me whenever you're ready. I would like to talk." Other parents I saw messages from who reached out to Nolan's mom saying, "We need to talk. Can we talk? I'm available if you need to talk to us." I do not understand at this point why Benjamin Crump would go out and put misinformation out online when he had the availability to talk to these kids and clear these things up like I did before he presented this to the public. We also reached out to Benjamin Crump 4 times. And on the 5th time, they come back and tell us that the family is not doing interviews. We didn't ask to talk to the family. We asked to talk to the attorney, Benjamin Crump. Why? so we can come together as a community and solve what happened to Nolan Wells, not create and stoke division, which is what I've seen
Mr.
from
Tatum,
Benjamin
that
Crump.
is exactly what we're trying to do.
And I don't mean to cut off Nancy. Shout out to Fear for making sure the audio and everything is good. But we got to talk about this, right? We got to talk about this. The situation where we have a young dead body and the only thing that y'all can do is go at each other for political gain, that truly disgusts me, right? Let me put that out there right now. That truly disgusts me. This situation is very disgusting overall, man. We have Benjamin Crump, who has publicly said that he has not spoken to the young man because of legal representation, right? I think that because this part is not a part of my script, but I think that is actually called conflict of interest, right? Attorneys do not contact represented parties directly. That's not somebody being a coward. That's not somebody stonewalling these young men. It's not creating a rabbit trail of lies or misinformation. It's actually him just following the law. Every lawyer knows this. You cannot contact parties directly. I'll give you an example. I had to go to court against my ex-girlfriend last year. Her lawyer could not contact me directly. You know what they had to do? They had to email the court what they wanted from me, and the court emailed me. Same thing. The court made it very clear. Do not contact her. Do not contact her attorney. If you need something from them, you contact us. We will contact them. So when you have Officer Tatum, who did talk to these young men because he's a commentator, not a lawyer, these rules don't apply to him. You see, he want us to forget. He think that we just YouTubers who just talk. No, we are people who went to college, graduated, and are thinkers. So of course you're going to be able to talk to these young men because you're a commentator. You're not a lawyer like Benjamin Crump. You don't have these law boards to answer to like Benjamin Crump. These rules don't apply to you. He's criticizing an attorney for following the rules that will get, any attorney sanctioned for breaking these rules. He's almost asking Benjamin Crump to contact these young boys, knowing, maybe unknowingly, because he's not an attorney, but anybody who does any research would know they cannot contact them. And this guy's been a police officer for like 10 years. So I would think that he's been in court at least once or twice, that he would know some of the rules. But I will say this. This guy, Ben Crump, he went on Fox News and he accused officers of lying in the Ma'Khia Bryant case. Is that her name? Is that her name? The Ma'Khia Bryant? I believe that was her name. My memory is not the best these days, but I believe that was a 13-year-old girl who was being jumped on. She assaulted somebody and the police shot her, right? So Ben Crump has been going online on the air, on CNN, et cetera, Fox News, whatever. And he has been publicly saying that, sometimes police officers lie, sometimes commentators lie. We just want to find out the truth. I don't think that Ben Crump is doing this maliciously. I really don't. I believe he's doing it because he want to find out the truth about what happened to these young boys. You guys can let me know what y'all think in the comments below. But I want to keep going to one of the best parts of our conversation between Officer Tatum and and Nancy Mace, where she completely cooks this nigga. And I'm sorry to use that type of language here, but she completely cooks him, bro. Right? I want you guys to put a 1 in the chat if you still here, man. Because look, I got over 200 people here, and I only see Fear, Gore, and Dub in the chat. Let's get all ones in the chat. Everybody is watching, put a one in the chat. I know I got a lot of ghost watchers. If y'all don't want to say hi, at least put a little lipstick in the chat, something cute for me. You know what I'm saying? Hi daddy, something. Say something. Let's keep going with the video, man.
I hear everything you're saying, and I think like a prosecutor. My main goal is to find the truth of what happened to Nolan Wells. And one thing I cannot get away from is the medical examiner. I'm trying to get to tonight's news, which I'm going to get to, but you were seeing video from WLOX. Speaking of sinking, is at an alleged issue with the boat bilge. Well, Randy and Bunny on TikTok have their interpretation of that. Watch this.
Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down there.
That from Randy and Bunny on TikTok. Joe Scott Morgan, very quickly before I can get into why the family believes they need subpoenas to social media giants to get the truth about what happened to Nolan's phone. Anybody can say anything after the fact. Those boys may be innocent. They can look like choir boys, angels now, but I still don't know what happened on that boat. And I still see conflicts. Can they be reconciled? I hope so. But until they are, we're on it. This is what I can't get away from. Control room, please show Joseph Scott Morgan the autopsy diagram of the victim's occipital bone. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. I do not care if an archangel lands on this anchor desk. If he lies to me, I'm using handcuffs for his wrists and a rope for his wings. You hear me? Look at that again. Put it back up. He has deep reddening subcutaneously on the back of his head. Nowhere else. It's not on his neck. The back of his neck anyway. Don't see it on the back. Don't see it anywhere else on the body. So I really don't want to hear a lame explanation that it's lividity of the blood sinking to the back of the body. Number one, the body was on its face. But that said, they kept the neck and the lungs. Lungs to see if he drowned, neck. Why would they keep his neck? I can't get away from this, Joe Scott Morgan, and I don't care how angelic the friends appear, and they may be angels. I don't know that yet. You can't get away from this, Morgan.
No, you can't, and we can't get away from it until the investigation is concluded on the part of the state medical examiner's office and the authorities. And in Mississippi, and I can promise you this, as the day is long, they're not going to release this information because it's an ongoing investigation. I know everybody wants it. Now, what we do have is a second view. We've got a second set of eyes on this from a highly accomplished forensic pathologist, I might add, former chief medical examiner for DC. And he went over Nolan's body very, very thoroughly. And he in his statements relative to this area states that he cannot make heads or tails of it at this point in time because it's compromised, this area I'm referring to in the occipital area of the head, because it has been compromised through decomposition. Now, he did a multi-layered dissection. And what that means is layer by layer, the skin, sub-Q fat, down through the muscle, which had not previously been done in this manner, according to him. I don't even know if it's annotated in the state medical examiner's report because it hasn't been released yet. They're still waiting. It's pending multiple things. How many times have we heard this over the years? They're doing their own histological studies, which means the tissue samples. And also the big part to this, Nancy, is going to be the toxicology. And we know that that takes some time. And it's not just going to be about alcohol. It's going to be everything in the spectrum.
All right. So that was my pause moment, right? I want to talk to you guys about two different parts that really stood out to me, right? But first, I want to say shout out to Fear for being the main person here, man. Holding it down in the chat. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Let's go ahead and take a pause for that. And we're gonna go ahead and throw on the Sharon Bracey.
For clout. That is the solution to this. The solution, Ed, is for you to send a goddamn 99-cent super sticker. So this way I don't have to go to Brokeback Mountain. That shit crazy. The problem is that we are not supporting great productive entertainment. We only.
He wasn't always wrong, my little apprentice. He wasn't always wrong. He's been wrong sometimes, but he wasn't always wrong, my little apprentice. He failed me eventually, right? Fucking failed me. Just like Officer Tatum is continuously failing young black men, right? Please make sure I get this part for you guys, right? And for my TikTok. So Nancy says, anybody can say anything after the fact. Those boys may be innocent. They can look like, choir boys, angels, but we still don't know what happened on the boat. I think that's a good point. I think that's actually an excellent point. I'm not here to demonize those young men because I don't know those young men. I don't know what happened with those young men. I don't know if they harmed somebody or if they're innocent. I just don't know. There's not enough proof to say either one. There's not enough proof to say either one. I'm being honest. However, I'm not about to rule out that something happened to Nolan just because those boys look like they may be innocent. I just can't do that. I just can't do that. You know what I'm saying? We have a young man that has lost his life, a young man that had a bright future ahead of him, and now that future has been snuffed out simply because of what? Because I don't know. I literally don't know why he is dead right now. Right? I do believe that's the posture that we need to have when it comes to these young men. We cannot persecute them until we know exactly what has happened. Right? But I do want to talk about I think it's pronounced the occipital bone, right? Nancy on the deep reddening of the back of the head. She talked about this over and over and over. They show some type of graph where it had the back of the head with a whole bunch of blood at the bottom. And Nancy says, why would they keep the neck? Then she turns to a man named Joseph Scott Morgan, and they talk about the decomposition of the body and the multi-layered dissection of the body. Now, here's what I have to correct on my part, right? Because a lot of us are just going to run with this. The independent autopsy, did I say that right? The independent autopsy, they did find that there was red discoloration in the soft tissue at the back of the head. That is very real. However, Dr. Mitchell, the black second, autopsy, he also found that there was no fracture to the skull, right? No fracture underneath the skull, no laceration underneath the skin, no laceration over the skin. He also wrote that the cause of the discoloration is still unclear and needs to be further investigated. That needs to be said. Like I said, I'm not interested in sides. I'm not interested in taking the right or the left side when it comes. I just want to find out what happened to this young man as a father. not as a black man, as a father, bro. If you a parent and this situation don't terrify you, I don't worry about what kind of parents you are. You feel me? Dr. Mitchell said it was unclear that any blunt force had happened, that anybody had hit him. That's all unclear. But what Joseph Scott Morgan had to say is actually very important here, because it's more careful. It's more careful than, just framing it a certain type of way. He says that Dr. Mitchell can't make heads or tails of the area because the body had been compromised by decomposition and they had removed the throat. So it was a lot that he couldn't even, he being Dr. Mitchell. We have Joseph Scott Morgan saying, yeah, that second report, yeah, nothing was unclear because the body was decomposed and it took the throat. He wasn't even given the entire body to actually analyze. Right? And when it comes to the missing throat, this is where the internet has the hardest situation when it comes to dissecting lies from truth. I'm just being honest. I'm going to try to pronounce her name. Dr. Priya Banerjee, who is an independent forensic pathologist with no dog in this fight, no political dog. She points out that the second autopsy carried an inherent limitation because the body is never received in a pristine, unexamined state. And she also goes on to say that tissue gets retained during the first autopsy, and this is ordinary in their practice. So the theory that basically states that the state carved out his throat to hide any type of evidence, that's not exactly established. It's not established in fact. That's only rooted in theory. It's not fact at all, because according to many doctors that are independent forensic pathologists, taking the throat is something that they do as a part of their first autopsy, right? We have to look at that as just fair. We got to just take it as it is, as damning as that situation is for us who wanted, we wanted Dr. Mitchell to be able to look at this second autopsy and give us something that we did not know. He was unable to do that. Right? Now, they claim that Dr. Mitchell is currently working to obtain Nolan Wells' throat from the state of Mississippi so he can examine it himself. Ben Crump, I'm not sure if he's gonna be able to get that. I don't know, right? He hasn't been able to share photos. He hasn't been able to share certain observations that they made. He hasn't been able to share anything, right, that Dr. Mitchell found when he talked to the grand jury, which leave us nowhere. But I want to get to my favorite part of this video, right? My favorite part of this video. Oh, we got Tom says there's something fishy with this case. Fear says, right, because why did they take the organs if the body is under investigation? I really wouldn't know. I wish I knew. But we have to talk about the polygraph situation, right? Where Officer Tatum lies and says that those boys took a polygraph and they all came back positive. They didn't do nothing at all. Well, we found out that was a lie. So let's go ahead and play the clip up until 26 minutes. That's about 3 or 4 minutes now. Let's go.
Hi guys, Nancy Grace here. If you are a homeowner, you probably thought, should I call American Financing to refinance and pay off this debt? But you don't because of your low mortgage rate. That low rate, it's not safe coverage of your home. You for rate tag stay Officer Tatum, star of The Officer Tatum on YouTube, have the friends taken polygraphs.
Well, from my understanding, all but I believe one took a polygraph, and from what was told to me that they all passed. And all of the ones that took a polygraph took one without a lawyer. And so, and they cooperated with law enforcement. So from my understanding, everybody took a
Why do you say
polygraph
that's
test
from
but
what
one.
you understand? Did they tell you they took a poly and passed?
They told yes, ma'am. They told me that they did it. I wasn't there. So that's what I'm saying from my understanding. They told me that all the boys except one, which is Warren, I believe, took a polygraph test. All of them did not have lawyers and did it and cooperated with police. Warren also cooperated with police. I just believe he didn't take a lot to take the test, but Warren is the young man that I interviewed. So according to what they told me, they all took a lot to take test and passed. And it's an equivalent of a lie detector test. It's not a traditional lie detector test, but it's the same theology of trying to get.
Excuse.
Minute. Wait a minute. Wait. First of all, you're not gonna speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
The lies. There you go. This bitch.
The lies.
They took what, sir? Let me run that back real quick for the audience, y'all. Let me run that back real quick. You thought you was slick there, sir, but you're not slick. We caught you in your lies. Simp Nation, Simp God. The black woman is God.
Star of the Officer Tatum on YouTube. Have the friends taken polygraphs?
Well, from my understanding, all but I believe one took a polygraph, and from what was told to me that they all passed, and all of the ones that took a polygraph took one without a lawyer. And so, and they cooperated with law enforcement. So from my understanding, everybody took a
Why do you say
polygraph
that's
test
from
but
what
one.
you understand? Did they tell you they took a poly and passed?
Yes, ma'am. They told me that they did it. I wasn't there. So that's what I'm saying from my understanding. They told me that all the boys except one, which is Warren, I believe, took a polygraph test. All of them did not have lawyers and did it and cooperated with police. Warren also cooperated with police. I just believe he didn't take a lot to take the test, but Warren is the young man that I interviewed. So according to what they told me, they all took a lot to take the test and passed. And it's an equivalent of a lie detector test. It's not a traditional lie detector test, but it's the same theology of trying to get to if a person is lying. I don't know the name of it. It's an equivalent of a lie detector test. It's a different methodology. I don't believe it was a polygraph test. I believe they took other stressors in order to analyze if the people were telling the truth or not.
Did they take a polygraph would be no.
Well, yeah, I think it could be semantics because they took a test to analyze whether or not they were being truthful in their statements, and that certified test, they passed it. It just wasn't considered a traditional polygraph. I think it's a more advanced way of doing it.
Brandon Tatum. Hold on. In a nutshell, Joe Scott, there's a difference between.
Hold on. Because she over here cooking this boy. Okay. So, you guys watched it. Okay. Here's the sequence. In order. In under 2 minutes of tape. Round one. We have Officer Tatum telling Nancy they took polygraphs. They passed. They did it without lawyers. Round two, Nancy presses Officer Tatum. He says, I don't know if it's a polygraph. It's the equivalent of a polygraph, but it's not a polygraph, right? Round three, Nancy presses back. She says, a different methodology equivalent to a polygraph. She asks Officer Tatum, what's the name of it? He said, I don't know the name of it. I know it's kind of like a polygraph, but it's not a polygraph. It's equivalent to a polygraph. Round four, Nancy says, I think you want some, semantics. You playing semantics. Right? Now, I'm going to play it for you guys, but just a few minutes later at 28 minutes, 51 seconds, he finally names what he is calling this fake polygraph or this equivalency of a polygraph. He calls it the voice stress analysis. The voice stress analysis, right? According to Brandon Tatum, this is not semantics. This is not. As he put it, it's a more advanced way of doing it. A polygraph measures multiple physical. Make sure I say this right. A polygraph measures multiple sociological channels, not psychological, sociological, right? So these would be things like respiration. This would be other things like cardiovascular activity, right? It basically it checks to see if you're lying, right? It's completely different from a voice stress analysis, which measures the characteristics of your voice, right? They are different instruments measuring different things with different track records, right? They're not the same at all. On one track record, we have the American Polygraph Association, and polygraph people, not skeptics. Polygraph people maintain an entire research page specifically for voice stress analysis, documenting that its accuracy claims don't really hold up, right? Let me give an example. If I'm questioning somebody, let's say I go to Las Vegas and they say Taz popped the nigga. They say Goat popped the nigga, right? And I say, okay, how do you know Goat popped the nigga? They say we did the voice test. We brought him in. We asked him, did you pop that nigga, Goat? He said, I didn't do it. But the vocal cords, no, it doesn't correlate. It don't hold up, right? One of the entries on the American Polygraph Association, one of the pages is literally titled, and I quote, NITV false claims peer-reviewed study shows TVSA is a highly inaccurate approach, right? They're saying that voice stress analysis is highly inaccurate, completely inaccurate, right? So here's actually is what's going to be presented to a national audience as evidence of those boys being innocent. Let me say that again. Here is actually what is going to be presented to the national audience as evidence of innocence. The test that Brandon Tatum is talking about, it does not have a name, right? He did not bear witness to this test. He was not there, right? He heard all of this by second hand. His words was, from my understanding, they took a polygraph test. They told me this. They told me that. They took me to the boat place. And now, like I just said 30 seconds ago, people are using that as a piece of evidence of innocence. I saw Fox News run the story, right? Officer Tatum took one of the boys to the crime scene and he said they are all innocent. So they're all innocent, right? This man is literally in real time setting the bar for these young boys to potentially get away with murder, right? A former police officer would know what a polygraph is. A former police officer would know the difference between a polygraph and a voice stress analysis. But because he has a role to play, because he has a political inclination against one side, he's going to play his role. And he's going to be disingenuous. And that's part of the reason why I don't like Officer Tatum, right? Shout out to all y'all, man. Let's make sure y'all hit the like button, get the likes up. All right, make sure you get the likes up. All right, let's keep going with the video.
Between a polygraph, which measures all sorts of body signals, your sweat, your breathing, your heart, your blood pressure, all sorts of things, and an audio verification test. Big difference.
Yeah. So the audio is, you're looking for stressors in the voice, and these people are highly trained to do this. And I'm, look, you know how the courts feel about these tests. Are they admissible or not? But I think that, going to Brandon's point, the fact that they have taken these, at least those named allegedly have taken these, according to him, I think that that's significant. Now, whether or not that this is going to be usable,
Right.
a usable investigative tool, is hard to measure.
I didn't ask you if it's going to be used in court. That's a whole nother animal. We'll burn that bridge when we get there. Okay. There may never even be a court case. First, I got to find out what happened to Nolan. Okay. So let's not put the cart before the horse. You've got eye detections tests. I don't put any stock in that as to whether somebody's lying. You've got nonverbal communication experts claiming they can tell. You've got brainwave analysis. You've got all sorts of things. I want a poly.
Right.
I'm not saying they did anything or they didn't do anything. Go, strap up, take me a poly. Officer Tatum, star of the Officer Tatum on YouTube. I've been told, but I can't verify, that the boat in question has been searched by scent dogs and cadaver dogs. Is that true?
I'm not familiar if that's true. Let me just clarify. The test that they took was a voice stress analysis test instead of what we call a traditional polygraph test. But I'm not familiar with the cadaver dog searching the boat. I wasn't informed that was the case. But I was told by the boys that they did not wash the boat off or do any of those things that they were accused of doing, after this incident.
Right.
And I say, based on all the things that I've heard, it appears that they've been very truthful with me. And law enforcement. They've already communicated with law enforcement very early on.
Okay. Officer Tatum, coming from you, I do give that credence because you were a Tucson PD. I've had people sit down, look me right in the face and lie, and they are so convincing.
So, and shout out to her for calling that out, because a lot of these young boys, they will do that. They will lie. If we're being honest, they will lie. Now, Officer Tatum is going to continue to vouch for these young men, but I'm going to close out by going to the 47 minute mark, or shot play. Yeah, right here. Right here. All right, 1 second. All right. So at this point of the show, I'm calling it character vouching, right? It's a part of my notes, and it's extremely important. Character vouching. When you have people like Brandon Tatum, Officer Tatum, who is vouching for these young men without knowing these young men, he says that they took a polygraph test without really verifying if they took a polygraph test. This is the reason why a lot of African American people, for one, we don't trust police officers. How can you trust a man who, oh yeah, they took a polygraph test, but did they take one? Well, they took the equivalent of one. Can you name it? I cannot name it. 5 seconds later, oh, I think it might have been a voice stress analysis test. One of the most inaccurate tests that you can fucking find. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and wrap up with the last segment. And this is going to be good. All right. Shout out to us for having really good content, actually having conversation and not being on bullshit. Let's go.
Exception, or did they explain why there are no pictures, text, instance, nothing on his phone? Did they have an explanation for that?
Yes, ma'am. They didn't mention anything about whether Nolan has service or not, but they articulated the reason why Nolan may not have, certain pictures on his phone. And they had mentioned because Nolan spent the night at their house the night before, because it's traditional for the last few years that they actually went to Horn Island together. But they were saying that they had taken pictures at the house. Some of the pictures that you've seen floating around online were pictures that they took on the boat, but they didn't take those pictures when they got out out there to Horn Island because they were having fun. And I would argue that they were drinking, and I couldn't imagine that they want to get underage drinking on camera. So what they had articulated to me that it wasn't abnormal for people not to snap and not to do a lot of pictures and things like that because they were focused on
But you
being
told me
off of the
they
mainland.
showed you pictures and videos.
Yeah,
so
but
they
it's
did
not
take
uploaded.
pictures and videos.
No. It's not a lot of pictures and they weren't uploaded. So when
You just lied again, boy. You just said they was having fun. They don't want to get underage drinking in videos. But earlier you said they showed you drinking in videos.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up.
you're talking about Snapchat, you're talking about a platform where people are uploading images and pictures to produce to the world. What they showed me were things that they had recorded on their phone, and it wasn't a lot of different things because most of what they did was drinking and having fun in the water. And so, but what they had articulated to me as well is that it's not abnormal for people not to snap. It's not abnormal for you not to have your phone. And Nolan wasn't the only person that left his phone on the boat. They also mentioned to me, and you can see it in the interview that they did, was that they had no reason to touch Nolan's phone. They weren't thinking about Nolan's phone when they thought the boat was sinking. And when they got to the house, it was no incident when it comes to Nolan getting the phone back to the friend and parent.
You're going far afield from my question. Let me.
You're going far afield from my question, boy.
Redirect you back to their phones. Nolan has nothing on his phone. They have pictures and videos on their phones. You told me that they exist, whether they posted them or not. So they were taking pictures and videos. Don't you see why the mom, Nolan's mom, is concerned there's nothing on her son's phone?
Well, Nancy, it's unclear exactly what the mother is articulating, because at one point she's concerned that there's not a lot of Snapchats or social media posting. She did not articulate, or the Benjamin Crump did not mention that there's nothing on his phone. So they're not saying that the phone was wiped and there's no images or anything. She was concerned about his social media frequency, which I believe after talking to the boys, it was consistent with what they said, and it was consistent with basic deductive reasoning that maybe he didn't post a lot on that day. So what remains a focus for me, and if I was investigating this
Not
case,
talking about
I
posting.
would want to know.
Not talking about whether he posted, officer.
No,
He didn't
what
even
I'm saying
take
is
anything.
that
There's no pictures. There's no anything.
That's what the mom is saying, but we haven't had an opportunity to either see or hear exactly what she's trying to articulate. Some of the things that she said in the media is that she's talking about posting. I don't believe she said that there was nothing at all on his phone, no pictures, no nothing. But I wasn't able to verify that. So if I was able to see Nolan's phone and the mother was able to show me exactly what she's articulating, I'll be able to have a better perspective in comparison to what Warren and the other boys were telling me. So at this point, I only have one side of it, and then I have a fractured perception from what the media or what the mother is saying in the media. So when the police officers look at his phone and they do a forensic extraction, if they're allowed to do that, they will see plainly if Nolan was on his phone, if he had taken pictures, and if they were deleted. Now, I'll implement this as we begin to try to guess and figure out what was happening on that day. It doesn't seem to be reasonable to suggest that the boys were in his phone deleting things. Now, after hanging out with the boys and getting to know them well, they're very intelligent young men, very savvy, and they were raised well. I would project, if I were to make an assumption, that if they were trying to cover up something that happened to Nolan, I would perceive that they would throw the phone in the water or something where it never would be recovered. Or if they had access to get into the phone, they wouldn't just delete, they would just completely rewrite the phone or, do a hard reset. Or they wouldn't give the phone back to mama or the family anyway. So with those factors put in place and what I've talked to them about, it seems as if their story seems consistent to me, that they did not get in the phone. They did not know his password. They had no reason to believe that there was a necessity to get in the phone.
Officer?
And they gave it up.
Bro, it's over, bro. again, what you guys see Officer Tatum doing here is shameful. It's disgraceful. We gotta say that, right? Now, Officer Tatum is saying that, after hanging out with these boys and getting to know them very well, they're very intelligent young men, very savvy, they're very well raised, and the very, hour or two that he hung out with them. If they were trying to cover something up about Nolan Wells, I would perceive that they would throw the phone into the water and not give it back to mama. This is the kind of stuff that we get from people like Officer Tatum, right? This is a character reference that he is doing for these boys. That's it. That's the entire answer. He believes that these boys are intelligent. He believes that these boys are savvy. He believes that these boys were raised well, right? That's not evidence, Brandon. That's still not evidence that they didn't commit this crime. But this is what they do, right? Because he's a police officer, that is not evidence, right? If a defense attorney stood up and said, my client comes from a good family and is very smart and is very savvy, he wouldn't do something like that. Brandon Tatum and everybody else in the room would laugh at that defense attorney because that doesn't acquit you of this crime, right? Most police officers understand this, and Officer Tatum has built a career over laughing over arguments like the one that he's making right now, right? Especially if it's being offered on the behalf of Black defendants. Child. Then when we look at the reasoning underneath all of this, if these young men, by some stroke of God, happen to be guilty and they threw the phone into the water and it was wiped completely, that would be something that we would be able to find out. They would find the phone, we would be able to go through it still. That's not something that would stop the government from figuring out what was on his phone, right? He wants us to assume and presume that these young teenagers were just good old white American boys panicking. They don't have no criminal backgrounds. They're not the type of kids that will commit crimes or do dumb things like throw a kid over water or something like that, right? And we don't know if it's true. So I'm not trying to say that they did those things. But coming to me and saying, well, he was a very intelligent young man. He was raised in a good environment. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. So was Kwame Kilpatrick, right? He became the mayor of Detroit. He fucked Detroit over. What you a boy of what? He come from a good family. Donald Trump come from a good family too. 34 felonies. Epstein, come on. That don't mean nothing, right? You got on here. Let me close this up, right? Let me bring this all the way back around for you guys. In the 52 minutes because I did watch the entire video. I'm not going to show it here now. I watched the entire Nancy Grace video. I watched how she described the audio. I watched the audio where the young man said, you can hear the background. I'm saying, hey, Nolan, get up, bro. Wake up, bro. Wake up, bro. Right? I believe Nolan died. They dumped his body back in the water. Major facts. Right? We watched the police officer say that those boys took a polygraph 4 different ways until he lied and said it was a voice stress analysis because he didn't know if it was actually a polygraph. It was the equivalent to a polygraph. We have 2 different location logs from the same phone, one from Life 360, one from Snapchat. How can Nolan be in the same place 2 different times? That's why both companies are being subpoenaed right now. Right? Everybody in this story is going to just pick a side, especially online. I'm not here for a side. I don't give a damn about the conservatives. I don't give a damn about Democrats. Unless, well, hold on. I rock with the Democrats. But this is not about that right now. Right? This is about solving a young boy's murder, to figure out what happened to this young man, because this can be my son, this can be my daughter, this can be my nephews, this can be somebody I love one day, and God forbid that it is that. And then somebody like Officer Tatum come out and they make it about race. Right? Notice throughout this video, I have not brought up Officer Tatum's wife, despite her being a white woman, like people like Freezy. I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to demonize him, demonize his family. I want us to get into the point where we can have genuine conversations. If we cannot do that, then don't come to this channel, because I'm not here to talk about the race of his wife. What I will talk about is his character. I will talk about the inconsistencies that he continued to perpetuate about those young boys, and about Nolan Wells, and about Nolan Wells' family, and about Nolan Wells' family's attorneys, as well as Black culture entirely. These things deserve to be exposed. Everything else I'm not interested in, right? I want you guys to let me know what you guys think about this, all right? In the comments below. Make sure that you guys are watching the video back to back to back to back to back. I'll be back tomorrow with another Nolan Wells update, all right? All right. If you guys want to know all of the websites that I use, like all of my references, I'm going to have all of that in the comments, and it's going to be pinned. All right. Also, in the description, I have all of my YouTube channels, everything in the descriptions. So if you guys want to follow my tech channel, my wife channel, the family channel, the ops channel, the beef channel, make sure y'all do that. It's all there. The Cash App is $DLong316 if you want to support the channel. All right. Until then, I will holler at y'all later. Super chats are available. Hype the video up. Make sure you become a member. I'll see y'all later, man. I don't know who live right now. Let me check. At the end of every video, I'm gonna support whoever I see live as a way to build the community up. I see Big J is live. I see Freezy, because listen, I don't fuck with Freezy, but I'm gonna support him on this one. I see Freezy is live. Queen Sheba live, which means I have to go do moderating. Bye.